Welcome to the Voice of San Diego Politifest 2020 Pick Your Future. I am Scott Lewis, Voice of San Diego CEO and Editor-in-Chief, and coming at you live from my garage. Uh-oh, it's showing just a little bit too much. Got to get that down. Never thought I would host a Politifest from my garage, but here we are. 2020 is quite the year, and it keeps delivering. I am so excited that you're here with us. We have almost 1,000 people registered, and I'm sure more to come as the sessions go on. Voice of San Diego has been trying to do Politifest since 2011. I remember the first one and getting out in front of everybody on the lawn in Liberty Station, and this is a much different one, but by far our biggest, our most diverse, our most interesting one ever. For those of you who might prefer Spanish, si se prefiere escuchar en español, hay debajo una opción que se llama interpretation. And presiona esto y ya estamos. That's an option for Spanish if you want to click that. We are going to offer many events in Spanish, many sessions in Spanish, some free, and it's going to be just an amazing week. I'm very excited about that. And I really appreciate those of you who are watching. I know that there's another political event tonight. I've heard it's kind of a big deal. Couple of old guys yelling at each other about the future of the country, but you care about local politics, you care about local ballot initiatives, you care about California ballot initiatives, and you want to be here with us, and I couldn't be more honored, and we promise to make you proud. We have been trying and working on this since Tom Hanks got the virus, got the new coronavirus back in March, the day that changed everything for us. That's the one that sticks out for me. We did not know. One of the first thoughts I had was, what are we going to do about Politifest? And we decided we would persevere and try to adapt. And I had no idea it would be like this, but the internet offers so many possibilities. We may never go back in the same form. Well, obviously, we'll love to get together when we get the chance, but we will probably learn from this that you can have a extremely large, extremely diverse. You can do things that you never thought possible. You can get people you never thought possible just because you have limitless possibilities on the web. And that's what created Voice of San Diego, frankly. Back in 2005, when we launched Voice of San Diego, we launched based on the idea that we could do work in a special way, professional journalism, investigative, explanatory work online, without the constrictions and restrictions of the print product. And that's proven true. Since March, we have worked really hard to adapt. Our whole team has been working to adapt. We've all been getting through this, though, based on one sense of purpose, one conviction above all. And that is that at a time like this, with all of these crises that we're facing, whether an economic catastrophe, a public health catastrophe, a trust in government catastrophe, a trust in a crisis in the trust in law enforcement. At a time like this, we need more than anything a shared reality, shared set of facts, shared story, and a team that continues to investigate and dig in and find out things that people don't want us to find out or make sense of the things that they do say. And that's what we're here for. Throughout it all, I want to shout out to our members. We have 3,300 members, people who donate to Voice of San Diego to make this possible, to run, to pay our salaries, to pay for these kinds of platforms, and to keep going. And you have been with us this whole time. And I get a little emotional every time I bring this up, because when we didn't know what was going to happen, we decided we would try as hard as we could be to be relevant, and you were there for us. You helped us pay the bills. You helped us get through it. And I think that's what makes this model so special and this community so special. And that's why I was so excited to be able to pull this off together. I'd also like to take a minute to recognize the sponsors who made Politifest possible this year. A special thanks to Google News Initiative. They wanted us to test. We had an idea of how to test platforms, how to learn how to do online events the way that we had been, but better, and they invested in it. I'd also like to shout out to the College of Arts and Sciences at University of San Diego. University of San Diego has been our home for Politifest. for the last several years, and they stepped up to make all the student tickets available for this for free. And to the San Diego Foundation, who is supporting, which is supporting all of the community conversations. We have all kinds of discussions coming up, debates about our future, mayoral debates, city council debates, debates about initiatives, but we also have dozens of discussions about the future of the community, from Prop 15 to the future of law enforcement and criminal justice reform, all of which have been put on by community organizations that submitted their ideas, and we worked with them to get them launched. And San Diego Foundation made it possible for us to put that together. Also, thank you to Cox, SDG&E, the Atlantis Group, and the City of San Diego's Retired Employees Association, and Business for Good. All those sponsors have made this possible. Now, what's this week going to be like? Well, hopefully we don't have to compete too much with other presidential debates, but we do have to compete with Padres baseball, Padres playoff baseball. So what are we going to do to make this worth it? Well, we've got all kinds of sessions, and many of which we know you can't attend. You'll be able to watch all the recordings of all the sessions on our website. If you've registered, the recordings will be available by noon on the following day. For those of you who didn't register for certain events or are just attending some of the free ones, we'll have those available as time passes next week. You can also use the online event guide on CVent to connect with other attendees and learn about speakers and sponsors. Be sure to get your own Voice of San Diego mug and drinking glass. I left mine at the office. Sorry, Julianne, don't yell at me. And the link to is in the chat for those things, vosd.org/mug, vosd.org/glass cup. Now, what can you expect? Well, we're going to have some amazing conversations about the future of our community. There's going to be some really wonky ones like redistricting. Redistricting is at the heart of our democratic republic. What we elect people to represent us. What area do they represent? That very basic concept is one of the most complicated and interesting foundational principles of our system of government. We're going to have the deepest, wonkiest talk about that with a diverse group of people that we could possibly put together. Maya Sri Krishna is going to host that. That's just one of dozens of great discussions you can look forward to. It's going through Saturday. We have so many things to get through, and that's because this election is so important. It's not just because of what's happening nationally. Obviously, we're all glued and interested to what is happening, but we are also going to decide so many things about the future of San Diego. But first, a note about voting. For the last few cycles, about 76% of people, of registered voters in San Diego, chose mail-in options. They decided to get their ballot in the mail, fill it out at their leisure, and either send it back or drop it off at the polling station when the time came. 76%, almost, the vast majority of people already had mail-in ballot options. Now, this time, 24%, the rest of us, will vote by mail as well. We'll get ballots in the mail. And so we're all going to experience that for the first time. I'm one of those sentimental guys who wanted to always vote at the polling station. It just, it was like a ritual for the day. So now I'm going to get it in the mail. Now, what happens after that? We are going to either mail it back in, or there will be 235 sort of super polling stations open across the county for 4 days before the election begins. 235 places I'm getting a question, to drop off your ballot in a secure setting with staff who might be able to help you with some of your questions. Now, that's down, of course, from the 1,600 polling stations that we would have in any normal cycle. But again, they will be open for 4 days before the election. On top of that, there are about 150 other locations, drop-off boxes, where you can take your ballot beginning next week. That's how things are going to work this time. You can take your ballot to one of these drop-off boxes. You can wait till there's 4 days before the election, go to one of the super polling stations that they're going to announce at sdvote.com, or you can just mail it back in. And if you're worried about the mail, as some of us are these days, you can get a Where's My Ballot tracking. So you can go to sdvote.com right now and sign up for Where's My Ballot so that you can track your ballot, and they'll let you know when it gets in. All right, first we're going to put up one poll. We want to know if this is your first Politifest or not. It is not my first one, that is for sure. I have been to all of them. Look at the attendance. This is great. I'm very excited to be doing this with you. All right, let's flip over now. Our producer, a multimedia expert, Adrian Heldes, put together a video about some of the biggest questions San Diegans have to make decisions on over the next few weeks. We're going to go through that, and I just wanted you to see that video. This is the cue to play the video.
A global pandemic shutting down large parts of the economy. To say that the year 2020 didn't turn out the way we expected is an understatement. A new virus caused a global pandemic, shutting down large parts of the economy and killing hundreds and thousands of people. In the midst of a public health crisis, the streets of cities across the country filled with protesters demanding that we confront racial injustice. No one knows what will happen next, and it's easy to wonder if regular people have any control over it. But come November 3rd, it will be your turn to have a say and speak up for what you want. San Diegans will weigh in on a number of big issues and races that would dramatically affect how our region works. Here's a quick preview of what to expect. The county is in charge of public health, containing new viruses, for example. It also oversees food assistance, medical insurance for San Diego's poorest, and so many of the mandates for welfare that come from state and federal governments. For many decades, Republicans have held a majority in the San Diego County Board of Supervisors. Last year, voters elected Democrat Nathan Fletcher to represent District 4. Democrats saw that as a chance to massively overhaul how the county spends money and delivers these services, and Fletcher was the first step. On Election Day, 3 other seats are being contested. 2 of them have no incumbent running. Supervisor Greg Cox will be termed out of District 1 in the South Bay, and the 2 candidates competing for his seat in the runoff election, State Senator Ben Hueso and Southwestern Community College trustee Nora Vargas, are both Democrats. The South Bay was one of the hardest hit areas during the pandemic, and District 1 currently has one of the highest populations of residents who utilize public assistance programs and other county services. Both candidates believe the county should educate residents better about the services available, but they have different approaches. In the East County, District 2 Supervisor Diane Jacob will also be termed out in November. 2 Republicans, former State Senator Joe Anderson and Poway Mayor Steve Voss, are vying to replace her. That means a lot rides on District 3, where Republican Supervisor Kristen Gaspar will defend her seat against Democrat Tara Lawson-Remer, an economist and professor. If she beats Gaspar, the board will flip to a Democratic control. It will have major consequences on everything from how the county spends its reserves to how the region addresses public transportation. For the past 2 years, the San Diego Housing Federation has been pushing for more funding for affordable housing. The city of San Diego has the 5th largest homeless population in the United States and a severe housing shortage that has forced some to move elsewhere or onto the streets. The cost of inaction was underscored by a deadly hepatitis A outbreak that battered San Diego's homeless population. Measure A will ask voters to approve a property tax increase that would eventually allow the city to borrow $900 million to help pay for about 7,500 homes for low-income and homeless San Diegans. As racial justice protests continue to sweep the country, San Diegans will vote on a measure that would overhaul oversight and accountability for the San Diego Police Department. Measure B would create a new Citizens Commission independent of the police chief and with subpoena power over officers, witnesses, and documents. The group will be represented by legal counsel that does not also represent the city or the police department. The new body, called the Commission on Police Practices, will replace an existing oversight board that does not have subpoena power or independent legal counsel and must rely on SDPD's internal affairs investigations when it considers allegations of misconduct. A group called San Diegans for Justice has been pushing for the measure since 2006, but was derailed in the past by both elected officials and the police officers union. Fast forward to today, and the measure now has the support of the San Diego's Police Officers Union, Mayor Kevin Faulkner, and District Attorney Summer Stephan amidst calls for more police reform in the region. City of San Diego voters will also weigh in on San Diego Unified School Board election process. As of right now, candidates in 5 subdistricts face off in internal subdistrict contests during the primary election. But then in the general election, candidates must run citywide and reach a larger number of voters. In some cases, candidates have won big with voters in their community during sub-district primaries, but lost to candidates with more money. Measure C will end the current system in favor of district-only elections. After the 2018 election, Democrats gained a supermajority in the city council that gave them the power to override any veto by Republican Mayor Kevin Faulkner. The council has yet to flex that muscle, but its political power in City Hall is about to get even stronger. Councilwoman Barbara Bree will face off against Assemblyman Todd Gloria for San Diego mayor. They're both Democrats, but they have strongly distinguished themselves on some of the city's biggest issues, such as homelessness and police reform. The outcome of the mayor's race will also have major implications for housing and transit policy, not just in San Diego, but across the region. Gloria is openly supportive of plans to invest more in buses and transit and build more densely, while Bree is more skeptical. In messages to supporters, she said more housing would destroy neighborhoods and called public transit investments out of date. Bree and Gloria both oppose the push to defund the police, but differ on how they will address police reform. Bree advocates for more police training and data on police conduct to better understand the problem. Gloria, on the other hand, wants to take a closer look at how police funding is being allocated and stop the criminalization of the city's mental health and homelessness crisis. Both candidates support Measure B, which would overhaul the city's independent police review board. All these issues and races will dramatically shift how San Diego operates for the next several years. And now it's your turn to decide what direction we'll take. Get ready to pick your future.
Well, great job to Adriana. That was a great video and just a tiny slice, frankly, of so much of the discussion that is coming and what may need to be decided. So just a note, I'm really excited for a couple of panels related to what she just talked about. One of them is I'm going to be moderating a discussion between Nathan Fletcher and Nora Vargas. Nora Vargas is running for that District 1 South Bay County Supervisor seat, and she is running against Ben Hueso, state senator. Hueso did not want to participate in the debate, so she and Nathan Fletcher are going to come and sit with me to talk about what Democrats would do were they to gain control of the County Board of Supervisors. What exactly will they do? I think that's a great question. Also, that District 2 County Supervisor seat, Steve Voss, the mayor of Poway versus Joel Anderson, the former state senator. What an incredible discussion that will be. They are both trying, I think, in a way to appeal to moderates and liberals. They both have, though, if one of them that's going to get on there, and if Kristen Gaspar retains her seat in that District 3 County Supervisor election, that will mean that the board is maybe more conservative than it's been in decades. If, on the other hand, Tara Lawson-Remer is able to beat her, then that will make it one of the most liberal that it's ever been. So it could be just an incredible swing with incredible consequences. And so something to really watch there. Also, we are going to have a debate about that property tax increase, not the one on the state ballot, but the one on the local ballot for the housing proposition or Measure A that was described there. Lisa Halverstad's going to moderate a debate about about whether we should raise that property tax to invest in affordable housing. There's a lot of questions about, is this the right time for a tax increase? Is that the best use of the funds? It's so expensive to build some of those homes. How does that work out over time? Will it make a dent in our homeless problem? So a lot going on there. There is no, I'm just answering some of the questions. There is no Ben Hueso Nora Vargas debate. To be clear, Ben Hueso did not want to participate. Also, there's no, the other one that we really wanted that we didn't get was Kristen Gaspar. Did not want to debate Tara Lawson reamer. Otherwise, we have almost universal participation with some of the other things that we wanted to discuss. Now, before I let you go and we begin the next panel, what questions do you have? I'm going to ask you my own right now, our second poll about the things that you might be interested in. Which of these local ballot issues concerns you the most? Property tax changes, the future of the Board of Supervisors, Midway height limit, the San Diego mayor's race. I'm curious about your responses there. Now, maybe, you know, that's not your ball. Anyone concerned? I'm going to look at some of these questions now. If you have any questions specifically about how the week will work, let me know. I would like to address those, or at least know about those, so we can share that messaging. From Jan Thompson says, anyone concerned with effectiveness of current budget versus new taxes for affordable housing? I mean, I think that's going to be a big part of that, right? Like, are we using current funding in the ways that we should be to support getting people off the streets? Did I miss the results of the last poll? The last poll was this your first Politifest? And it was about, vast majority said that it was their first Politifest. We're getting a lot of mandate that maybe this is the way to actually hold events, not make people come to certain places, or at least do some sort of hybrid in the future. We are also going to have a debate between the mayoral candidates. That's Friday. I'll be managing that. I'm very excited about that. All right, let's see. Perhaps we could have had a something else option on the poll. Yeah, no question. Always a better option somewhere. What should we expect on election day? Jim says. Well, one thing to remember, one thing that happens here, and has happened for many years, is they count the ballots before, the ones that arrive before election day, they count those up. So at 8 or 9 p.m. on election day, there will be a vast dump of those results that will come out. And it will give us a pretty good indication of where things are, but not a great one. Maybe counterintuitively with the discussion that's going on nationally, Republicans have long dominated that early mail-in voting. And so it's very common for Republicans to be doing very well or better than their Democratic rivals on election night. But then as the days go on and the in-person vote is counted, Democrats make up ground. We saw that this last time with the mayor's race, where Barbara Bree was behind Scott Sherman for that second spot in the mayor's runoff. And she ended up, over the next several days, it was like 2 weeks, overcoming him in the vote count because the people that voted later were more inclined to her perspective. So I think on election night here, I think it should be pretty stable. We're very good at mail-in voting. We've been doing it for a long time. San Diego was one of the first places to do that in the 80s and 90s. And now we've really, we just have to add a few more people to it. Some of these other places haven't been doing it as much and might be a little bit crazy. All right. Well, I'm being told to shut it down and get ready for our next one. Here's the results of that last discussion, the future of the Board of those are my people. Yes, the future of the Board of Supervisors is a huge deal, and I agree. I agree with you all. The height limit, I think, is big for that area. Property tax changes are going to be big for people that have lots of property, that's for sure, and the mayor's race. Okay. Well, we only have one event for tonight, and it's genuinely, or pretty regularly, our most popular one. This is the one that Sarah Libby and Jesse Marks run. That will run through all of the California ballot measures and help people understand from a neutral perspective all of the, I guess, Prop 14 through Prop 25 or something. There's a lot, and I'm looking forward to learning along with you. So stay tuned for that. If you have any questions about how this works, you can always email me, and I'll get your question to the people that matter. That's scott@voiceofsandiego.org, scott@voiceofsandiego.org, or you can reply to any of the number of emails that you have gotten, and we'll make sure to share. If you ever do get lost, you can go to voiceofsandiego.org/politifest, and we have the link to get you back on the right website. Thank you all for coming. Stay tuned for the next event, and I look forward to seeing you all week long. Get your friends here, and let's have a great discussion. I'm excited to pick our future.